What? Okay. What? All right, good morning, everyone. Sorry for the early start. I think I opened it up a little too early. All right, let's get into it. All right, S&P's obviously managed to hang on to a positive session yesterday, making it another new all-time closing high. You can see they're pretty much mixed throughout the sectors and more or less a flat day on really light volume. There's very little happening. We did have industrial production that was solid, and pending home sales that missed expectations quite reasonably. There's just a few different things that are happening at the moment, but very little, really to get the market moving either way. The earnings season that's coming out so far has been kind of the same old story that we've seen. We've seen a beat on the EPS number for a lot of companies and a miss on the revenue number for a lot of the companies. But we also have seen a huge downward revisions in terms of forward earnings. I believe out of the 50 odd companies that have guided low or that have guided going forward, they over 40 of them have guided lower than what analysts' expectations were going forward. So, but it doesn't seem to be able to shake the market. So for the time being, still managing to shake all of that off. Asia, we kind of have a bit of a mixed session going on there. Shanghai has really just been under pressure for. I actually can't even remember the last time that the Chinese market was up, and I really think that there's a little bit of nervousness that's starting to build there again. Obviously the global markets are always very focused on China. We still haven't seen any heavy sell-offs there, but there's been more and more talk about housing bubbles. There's been more and more talk about some of the the write-downs from some of the bad debts that are starting to increase. And I think if that continues to gain, to gain some sort of recognition in the market, I think we could really get under pressure. So we did have Apple that reported better than expected. Sales and earnings figures last night, but I think the market was down, or after hours, Apple was down close to 4% on pressure on some of their margins that the market doesn't really seem to be happy with. So, but I think we'll have to see how that plays out today. I think it did have a little bit of a bounce after the conference call. So, obviously, it's a major component in the S&P, major component in the Nasdaq. If it's going to open up lower and somewhat significantly lower, it's going to put the market under pressure as a whole. All right. We've got, like we said, we had Apple that was out. You can see the numbers there a little bit better than expected on both numbers. We had UBS that was out this morning as well. Net income number was a small beat, 577 versus 561 expected. With Deutsche Bank, it was also out this morning with net income numbers that were a miss at 41 million pounds versus expected 430. So reasonably significant there. And then we have Pfizer. Pfizer that was out that's out this afternoon as well before the bell. EPS expected at 56 and revenues at 12.7 billion. We also have another note. Follow members have voted to strike. They're saying that they haven't received, or Impala is saying that they haven't received a 48-hour notice yet, but they have apparently voted to go ahead with the strike. And then we have clicks that was cut to neutral versus buy at UBS this morning. All right. Market data out today, a jobless rate out of Japan came in line with money supply locally. That was slightly higher growth than expected. We had private sector credit, which is a touch lower than expected. With consumer confidence out in France later, retail sales in Spain, unemployment here locally. We got mortgage apps in the UK, and then later in the States we got PPI, retail sales advance, S&P Case-Shiller composite, and the consumer confidence numbers. So nothing that I think is going to be too hectic to move markets today. Right, let's jump into the maps. Okay, the first thing that I wanted to look at this morning is the Euro And I'm going to jump all the way back and have a look at a 10-year chart, and just show how big of an inflection point I think we're at the moment. You can really see here that we're coming into resistance right around call it 139 on the trend line, and that this is a major this is a major level here. If you look at the longer term averages out of the Euro USD, we've really kind of been just in a sideways consolidation range, maybe a little triangle, narrowing triangle here, going all the way back to 2007, and this is really important. I think every time that we start to see this drift to the upside in the euro, it's been really bullish for equity markets going all the way back to that time. So, watching this thing, seeing a reversal in the euro could really signal some sort of risk off in equity markets, and I think that's something that we can maybe start watching again. The way that this thing's moving, haven't really been paying attention to it a lot lately, but you can really see the drift up over the past few months, which has really been in line with the equity market. So let's watch that one a little bit more closely going forward. I think it could have some, it could be important to watch in the coming months. All right, let's look at SA Breweries. We sent this one out yesterday, I believe, on Twitter. It's hard to see here because we closed so close to we ended up pulling back below 520. But you can see the wick there if you look closely. We did get above 520 intraday. We haven't had any closes above 520, but this range is perfectly clearly defined, and I think that if we get a break above 520 on a closing basis, to me the target is going to be as high as 570 rand. So this marks the fourth time that we've tested 520. I think at some point we are going to this thing is going to be able to go. Like I said, if it gets above 520, either starts to push away from there, or we can get a close above there. I think that it's a good opportunity technically to try to buy it for the next leg up. All right, look at Aspen quickly this morning. Aspen, I know the rudder showed this one yesterday, but you can just really see there, very very clearly defined little descending triangle here that we have broken out of. Nice breakout here, and I think we could probably make a move all the way up to as high as 280 on this move. So watch this one closely. We definitely got a break out of this level yesterday, and really nice to also be able to see us get above closing highs, which are around 272. So watch Aspen. I mean, every time this thing's we've had a lot of these patterns. If you kind of go back, every time they break out of that pattern was basically identical to this recent move. If you look at it there, this sort of pattern as well, you can maybe call it something like that. I mean, we've had these moves over and over in the share. Every time it's kind of broken out of either a little flag or a descending triangle, whatever you want to call it. It's just been a nice move to the upside thereafter. So just keep a close eye on this one. I wouldn't be surprised to see it have a nice quick run. All right. Kumba, I just wanted to show, because we're kind of bouncing up to retest what was resistant, or what was support, now becomes resistance here. We know this level, we were talking about it on the way down, 429. We came back up, I think we traded at 25.5 or something along those lines yesterday. Pulled back to maybe 20 or just before the auction, then they closed it up a few bucks. But basically we're right there at this level. This is going to be a major level and a major test here for Kumba. If we can't get above 429 over the next session or two, I think this is definitely going to be a shorting opportunity. So let's watch that closely. Another one I wanted to have a look at here is ARI. ARI, I mean, whether you want to look at it from a wick point of view or from a closing point of view, I kind of actually prefer to look at it from a close, because this stock can get quite whippy with the wicks. We've made a nice breakout here from I call it a flag, or whatever you want to call this, this pattern here, but we've had a nice little breakout to the upside here, and I think that we can easily we can easily take out recent highs of the past year, which are up around 209, and really where we failed to break out when we popped up there in September. What's interesting about this is this has held up so incredibly well with some of the production misses and things like that out of Kumba. It really seems like there's been a bit of a switch into this one. I think that people were probably jumping on the back of the shorts here when we saw this consolidation as Kumba was really starting to show weakness and missed on some numbers. The fact that they haven't been able to get it down and starting to turn up here, I think is really bullish, and there could be some shorts out in the market on this share. So, this could be a great little risk reward, and I think we definitely get a move back up to 209, if not a move, a nice breakout even from there. All right. ABSA, every bank yesterday was just incredibly strong. I know the volumes were ridiculously light. Shorten it up a bit here, but you could see that every bank was totally bid. We talked about this the other day, and this level at 150, we came down and tested it intraday. We had a nice little hold there on support, and then we've bounced up above this little flag, and I really think that we're probably gonna trade up to new highs. I think they possibly could be a trading statement out this week, but I don't see any reason why this thing doesn't test recent highs, so long as market conditions give us the opportunity there. And the last one I want to have a look at is actually Anglo Gold. I want to look at this on a 30-minute, just to kind of show here. We have a nice little continuation pattern setting up here. It's made a little rounded bottom, or you can even kind of call that a flag. A flag, I suppose, that we've broken out of, and really that level down here. It's quite easily defined at 150. Let's just have a look at what it is. 155. A breakout from 160 would put us up to about 165 real quick. And I think that could, this is a shorter term chart. I think we get above 160, which we will, on the back of the closing price yesterday in Anglo Gold. This thing makes a quick move to 165. And if you look at it a little bit from a longer term perspective, you can see how big this 160 level is. Going all the way across over here. So this is a big level for us to pop up, and 165 is also where we really spent a lot of time consolidating and trying to put in bottoms here. So this little move to 165 that I think could happen today can be really important, and 165 can be a big inflection point. So let's just have a look and see how this plays out in the next session or two. But I think in terms of an intraday play today, it might not be a bad one. That's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.